well, I don't really want to say that's so cool about my own game, but there is no more fitting end than Vanessa doing something super broken to the final boss. Triangle attack. Goodbye. Cyrene is now more useful than Renek and Marisa and Ewan all put together. Well, I guess Marisa helped me in the Q&A, which is going to be the upcoming thing, because this is a pretty easy final boss fight if you get this one round kill. I've considered so many ways to kill this guy. But yeah, it's over. We win. Seth and Vanessa and all the others, they saved the day. And I have them and a couple of other people to thank for it, as well as my low turn count. So let's get into the Q&A, because you guys asked me more questions than I actually got for my official Q&A for my 4K. So I have some work to do, and I think I'll just do the rest of them in some other Q&A video at some point. I have around 20 minutes of video footage left, minus whatever I want to commentate on, which is none of the story parts. So let's get right into it. I somewhat prepared, but not really. I sorted the comments by top comments, and I'm just going down and finding questions I find interesting. So if your question doesn't get answered, maybe it will the next time. Don't worry. Is there any unit in FE8 you've got a little more appreciation for and or saw in a new light thanks to the run? Question by Metadash, who comments on like every video, and they're always good comments. Yeah, Ross. Ross is really cool. Even though I only had to train him really for one chapter, I got some use out of him along the way, and none of it was very painful. It was actually pretty easy to train him. And, you know, what do you expect when you give someone like 20 high XP gain levels? They get a lot of stats. And I was very glad to put him in to use in like chapter 18 in particular, because I needed an extra unit that could fight things, but I didn't want to like spend another mounted unit, so Ross was pretty helpful there too. But of course he's like MVP of chapter 13. How could a remake improve the things FE4 does wrong? I would read out all the usernames, but one, I will mispronounce them, and two, that would cost a lot of time. And maybe it would cost even turns. Maybe it would cost turns. So how would a remake improve the things FE4 does wrong? I don't think FE4 does a whole lot wrong besides the tedium of moving across maps. I think individual inventories and the pawn shop and the gold management should stay. Even though they might not be the most liked features, they are what makes FE4's system work. And if they change it, they have to change almost everything, like the way Paragon Ring works and stuff. I would not really be a big fan of that. Really, FE4 just needs to improve some of the characters, give them like base conversations or whatever, to give them a little more oomph, a little more character, basically. Not too much, don't overdo it, don't give them like awakening gimmicks. I think Echoes did an okay job of this, so they will probably do something like that. If Echoes is any indication, they will not change a whole lot about the map design, unfortunately. They are really worried about being a quote-unquote faithful remake, apparently. So, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about the remake, period, but if it happens, I hope they do their best. This is a commonly asked question, is would I consider doing another board or RNGod playthrough of other games like FE7 or FE6? Maybe. FE7 wouldn't be very interesting. I'm pretty sure the lowest turn count for FE7 has been reached, even without 100% growth, because the enemies in that game are very easy. They're easy in this game too, but there's like ridiculous stat benchmarks in this game that you cannot reach without insane level ups. And Ephraim route was also relatively underexplored, but FE7 has been done to death, so I don't think I will do that one. FE6 is a more likely candidate, but I don't really like playing FE6 a whole lot, even though I think it's one of the better games. It's well designed. It's kind of like chapter 18 of this game. It's well designed, but I don't enjoy it as much. So probably won't be doing FE6. Might do another game at some point, but for now I'm gonna do something different. Yeah, you guys will find out soon. Would you consider joining an episode of the Emblem cast? The main hosts have been talking about maybe having you and Don on with them. If they invite me, sure, I will gladly schedule a time and be on there. I think at one point I applied to be on one of the podcasts. I'm not sure if it was the Emblem cast, but I didn't make it. So I guess they didn't want me. So if they want me now, whatever, I'll gladly join and have an episode with them. What are your opinions on FE6 Barter? I just checked the FE6 tier list I made. I think he was somewhere around the middle. He's not bad, but he's not great either. He's good at weakening things for other peoples to kill, and he's not a bad unit on his own right. I generally just go with Kidna route, so I've only used him in a playthrough once. Do you think the summoner class is viable? And if not, what would you do to improve the class? Well, look at chapter 18. Null was pretty good. Outside of that, he doesn't have a whole lot of use though. But summons are really cool and underrated. Who is your favorite male and female character from all the Fire Emblem series and why? I like Leaf a lot. I voted him in Choose Your Legends, even though I don't care about heroes. I like Leaf, I like Asvel, I like a lot of FE5 characters. I answered this pretty much in my main Q&A. I think I also said my favorite female character is Mekkah. Do you plan on buying a Switch and playing FE16? Probably not. A friend of mine has a Switch, so maybe I'll buy a FE16 and then play it there at some point, maybe. It's probably a huge investment considering how expensive games are, so maybe not. When is the Fire Emblem 5 character sorter coming, if at all? I'll make another sorter when I feel like it. I don't know when I'll do it yet. It's kind of focused on this project, and I have a bunch of other ideas. And sorters is one of them, but just one of many. There's just so many things I want to do. What is your favorite FE map from any of the games? You know, whenever someone asks me a question like this, I always refer back to the master chapters. I think chapter 4 in particular is a good map, although it is held back by the stupid trap at the end with Dalshin. So maybe there's better answers. I like FE7's Dragon's Gate, even though it's not the best map ever. But it is the best map in FE7. What are your opinion the best, worst playable units in all of Fire Emblem? I made a best units list of all time on Serenus Force, a top 30 best units list of all time. It's kind of outdated and kind of casually oriented, so it's not actually who I think is best, but who's the... Oh wait, we got turn counts. Sorry for interrupting past Mekkah, but there's a future Mekkah, and I'm gonna go ahead and put in the correct turn counts with the chapter 21 turn. Thank you very much. So the total turn count for this run is 70 turns, which is a little over 3 turns per chapter on average, because there's about 22 chapters counting the prologue and the final chapters. So, man, FE8 is insane. This game is... That's why I like LTC in this game. It's fairly short, but still challenging. Okay, back to the things. So, best playable unit, I would say, is Robin from Awakening. Especially female Robin is just so strong. He turns a really hard mode, Lunatic, into a pretty easy mode once he's trained up after like chapter 1 or 2. And, you know, Sigurd and Seth, they're like the next best units, but they both turn a pretty easy game into a really easy game. And for worst, I'm gonna say Wendy on a whim. Maybe there is worse out there, but Wendy is really bad. What are your favorite, or what are your best or favorite runs of any FE game, or the runs with the best strats? I like all of Don Don's 0% growth runs, and I also gotta say I really like Fire Emblem's FE2 efficiency run, and the FE4 ranked low turn count run, and the... what's the last one? Oh yeah, the FE5 TAS that she did. They were pretty good. Favorite Pokemon game? I grew up on Generation 1, but I also really like Generation 2, so both of those. All of those. Yep. You ask for one game, I give you basically 6. Favorite meme bat units that you like to use? Can be from any game. Danvat, actually. It's pretty fun to use in Radiant Dawn. Who else? Dorcas is okay to use, I guess. Not a whole lot of fun because he never one-rounds anything due to his low speed in the middle of the later game. But those are pretty fun. Watching Mangs use Roger is pretty fun too. And Gordon. What was it like playing new first-time Fire Emblem games back when you were inexperienced with the franchise, and what is it like now? I answered some of this in my Q&A, but I'll just say I was either way too careless and then got units killed in my very first playthrough, or I'm way too careful whenever I play maps that I don't know in advance. And I'm just turtling through the maps and just kind of covering forts whenever I see them, just so that there won't be reinforcements coming out. Kind of like a casual player. I mean, Fire Emblem is pretty important to know about things in advance before you can really play it well. Worst pre-promote in this series? Good question, but the one that came to mind when I first read this question was Shima from FE3 Book 2. Pretty bad, General. Your thoughts on The Last Promise? Also, are you gonna do a Let's Play of that game? I'm actually playing Last Promise right now. I started last week or something. Just to have something to play off camera. Just for something to just relax and play. And one of the things I really like about Last Promise is how you can buy angelic robes at the end of the limb mode equivalent. That makes saving up money a hard thing to do. You actually have to sell all your elixirs and stuff if you want to maximize robes. But I really dislike the lack of a convoy in Limb mode. That's really, really annoying. I hate that so much, having to drop items. It's gross. So, and then the rest of the game is like, the story is awful, but I respect its legacy. It's one of the first complete FE hacks, and it's pretty good for one of those. And the post game is also really fun. Do you not like videos with 720p, 60 FPS, or do you not have the software to do it? I think I can record at a higher frame rate and all that stuff, but what I do right now is sufficient for me and for people to watch it. And I have limited disk space to work with overall, especially in the long term. And I know like Mekkah low quality is like a meme, but I don't see the need to increase quality any further than I already did. I'm just glad you guys can actually hear what I'm saying now. Why is FE7 your least favorite game? Or my least favorite FE game? Because it's, people will think it's good. And I don't think it's good, so the discrepancy is pretty annoying. What are your thoughts on the Radiant Dawn weapons like Iron Poleaxe, Iron Great Lance? Did you like them? Would you like to see them return? Kind of indifferent, really. They're like, it's nice to have a bit of variation, but they're really plain. They don't really have any extra effects. And they tend to just make good units that can use axes like Titania and Harp better. And they don't really improve anyone else in particular, so I don't think they're too amazing. It's I don't know, I'm kind of neutral. Do you agree with Mangs' reanalysis of Dorcas as a unit in his Dorcas Spotlight video? I don't remember what he said, but he probably said something like, it's good to weaken people early on, because generally what Mangs does with his Spotlights post FE7 playthrough is he just kind of copies what I said. It's kind of what he did for Geats. So I probably agree with it, but it's been a while since I watched that video. I generally don't watch the Spotlights completely, if I even do. What is your least favorite class in FE8 or in all of Fire Emblem in general? Do I say Thieves here? I guess I should say Thieves. I mean, I don't really hate any classes, to be honest. I mean, I think, like, for example, I think Armor Knights are generally pretty bad, but I don't hate the class. Do I play Advance Wars? Nope. I mean, I've tried it. I haven't really finished any though. Should I early promote Vanessa at level 15 or level 14 in Ephraim hard mode without Tower of Volney? Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, I don't know what chapter you're on. I don't know how good your Vanessa is, but you probably should. Who do you say is the most underrated and overrated character in Fire Emblem? See, the thing is, if one character gets underrated or overrated in the community, everyone tends to bandwagon on that opinion, and then in the end, it turns out that the reverse happens. For example, a lot of people right now like to say that Echidna is underrated, but almost everyone thinks that, so that makes her not underrated. The same goes for someone like Lynn. Lynn used to be very overrated, but now I think most people are aware that she's not very good. So this is generally an opinion I don't really enjoy talking about very much. It's like when someone on Reddit asks, like, what is your unpopular opinion, and then the most upvoted comments are like super popular opinions. So I don't think it really makes sense for me to answer this question. Let's see. Favorite and least favorite FE8 map. After this playthrough, I really like Chapter 8 a whole lot. I like Chapter 14 Ephraim route a whole lot. Most players hate that map, but I kind of like it actually. Least favorite, Chapter 18, pretty sure. Have you ever done a Nuzlocke of a Pokemon game? Yes, I've done, I think, Pokemon Crystal or Gold, one of those. That didn't end very well. And I think there was another question about me, whether I would record one. I don't really like watching people play Pokemon a whole lot because it's a very slow game with a lot of text. So the person doing it has to be very entertaining. And I know that, like, I am okay at playing games and sort of being entertaining, but it's not my specialty. My specialty tends to be, like, knowledge. So I don't know if it would be very entertaining to watch. Maybe let me know if you would like to see that, but right now I don't have any plans to record any. But then again, like I'm also on record for saying that I don't really like watching people play Fire Emblem, and yet I make Fire Emblem videos, so my tastes don't necessarily have to match up with my viewers. As long as you enjoy what I'm making, that's all I care about. Which animation style do you like best, Jug Droll or GBA? You know, I really liked Jug Droll when I first saw it, but like GBA has the nostalgia factor. This is a really hard question, actually. I'm gonna say with Jug Droll. I'm gonna say Jug Droll. Are you an executor on a man's body? Yes, that's why I'm not doing a face reveal. 100% growths or 0% growths? You know, 100% growths is almost like a joke. It's almost like a meme. It's like the reason it exists is because me and Rengar were kind of lazy, and we just wanted to have something to kind of stand out and try without spending forever rigging. Where 0% growth is an actual achievement, so I'm gonna say 0% growth. What are the kind of things you do in competitive Pokemon? I don't really play competitively anymore. I play ramp battles. That's pretty much all I do. Really? Is that all I do? I guess. I mean, I used to play like really competitively. I used to like sometimes. I've won a Smogon tour before once, like really long ago. Not the whole thing, but like one of the live tournaments. And then I made it in top seed, and then I lost the first round of elimination. Do you think you would do an LTC on your channel of Radiant Dawn? Really curious what some of the maps are like. For example, part 3 endgame when trying to get a low turn count. Don did a LTC of Radiant Dawn at 0% growths. I don't remember if it's still on his channel. I think it is. I don't remember him removing it. So that probably gives you an okay idea. And Cheeky also did an FE10 low turn count run of Radiant Dawn, which I would never be able to top, because Cheeky knows what he's doing. And I can't really record FE10 very well because I can't emulate the game at a very high speed, and recording it would probably make it even worse. If I had one question to ask you, it's this. Will you ever aspire to go into game design or game creation? I considered this at one point, but I dropped the idea because if you want to like actually make a living in game design or game creation, you have to know the right people or get very lucky with like a Kickstarter or something. And I don't want to base my career around something that means getting lucky, because, you know, my luck stat isn't very high. Favorite Pink Floyd song? Shine On You Crazy Diamonds, probably part 2, or Echoes. I'm gonna say Echoes. Actually, Echoes is amazing. It's like 23 minutes, so you kind of have to sit through it the first time, but once you realize how good it is, you never want it to stop. What's the longest RM burn you've had to do memory? I think Rengar's run to the longest RN's burn is probably going to Rengar for chapter 2, but I didn't do that one technically. I would have to go back and look. I think the chapter 8 RM burns were pretty long. Answered. What does it feel like to have the highest post count on Smogon after all these years? It's weird. It's really weird. Because I thought people would pass me now, since I don't really post much. I post like once a week at most. Do you think the music in Fire Emblem is good? Yes. It's amazing. Like, there is no game soundtrack I don't like at all. Like, even the games I don't like, I generally like the soundtrack. We're almost at the end, but not quite. So I'll do a couple more questions. Why do you hate Lyn so much? I don't hate Lyn. I just don't think she's a very good unit. Okay, so we're doing one final overview of all the units, by the way, because some people might be curious what they look like all the way at the end, so just going into map mode and checking all the units out, in case you're wondering what the hell is happening. But we're closing in on the last few questions. Which are more important, stat caps or stat growths in newer FE games? I don't know what you mean by newer FE games, but generally growths are more important. Yeah, who's your favorite unit to use in Fire Emblem? Probably Archer in FE4 with the Force City. It's really broken. What is your accent? I can't back your nationality. This is because most Dutch people don't have an accent that I do. My accent is very different from most Dutch people, because I learned most of my English from native speakers and the internet. So the way I learned English is completely different from most people's. Well, not really, but it means the way I sound is completely different. Which do you prefer, the rescue mechanic or the parrot mechanic that was introduced in Awakening of Fates? Dude, rescue is way more balanced. You shouldn't be rewarded for taking someone off the battlefield. Parrot has no drawback. That's why it's not really a very well-liked feature in, you know, the Fire Emblem community. At least the subreddit one. Last question. What do you think of FE unit debates? Have you ever had an interesting experience participating in one? Yeah, I used to do this like hardcore, but I stopped because I realized, oh my god, this is pretty boring. I mean, it wasn't that boring. It was fun while it lasted, but We really weren't very smart back then, man. Like, if you look at those old debates, we really weren't very smart back then. Are you looking to LTC other games? Maybe at some point. Maybe. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of this run was General Horus's run? Almost everything? No, not really. Not almost everything. But every time I mention General Horus, I wouldn't really have cleared the chapter in as low of a turn count as I did without him. So I think that's at least 8 to 10 chapters, and then a lot of the others were like common sense, so in a way, almost this whole run is Horus. What's your favorite Dutch food? Poffertjes. Was the average velocity of an unladen swallow African or the other kind? I've seen this movie. I know what you're referencing. I just don't remember. Alright, so we're down to the last 30 seconds. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for supporting this run. And I will announce my next project very, very soon. There will be another Let's Play. And I will also work on like individual projects. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.